Greetings, people. It's Jared here, Wolfgang1, back to do another Transformers review. Now, I know I was supposed to do this last week. Time got a little bit away from me, and I thought to myself, oh, you know, I could sit down and do this. And then I thought to myself, nah, fuck you all. I'm going to have a week off. But I'm back again, enthusiastic to continue. And if you believe that, then fair play to you. So the figure I'm going to be doing today, I'm doing for my good friend and close chum, MarkusPrime. Now, MarkusPrime hasn't requested this one. But it's his favourite character. He's an absolute whore for this character, quite frankly. And I've had this figure now about a decade, right? And I've never actually reviewed it. I reviewed variations on a theme, but never actually this figure. So I thought, you know what? I think this time I dusted it off and gave it a closer inspection. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the review for Generation 1 Starscream. Okay, so here is Starscream in his box. Now, all the information I'm about to give you might be a little skew with, right? So anything I say from this point on, when we're talking about the figure in the box and that, take it with a grain of salt or just disregard it completely. Okay, now this is a Hasbro reissue. I'm not sure when this came out. Was it like sort of 2002, 2003, something like that? I'm not sure. I've been collecting since 2008, and I think I probably picked this guy up around 2010, and I'm pretty sure it was an eBay purchase. Probably about anywhere between about 30 and 40 quid, sealed, brand new. The only reissues I got, Hasbro reissues that I got in like sort of Toys R Us was Skywarp and Red Alert. Those are the two that spring to mind because I bought them on the same day. I think pretty much every other reissue was an eBay purchase, and it's almost, you know, obviously the boxes are different than the G1s were, but I mean they carry enough of the original over, like the original box art just here, the original logoing. Sort of this is almost exactly the same, but not quite. And then there's a battle scene, the original 84 battle scene on the back, but the whole thing is different. There's no tech spec or anything like that. It would have been nice if they were going to reissue them, if they'd have reissued them the old-fashioned way, like they did a couple of years ago when they did Southend fuck off, done it again, Soundwave, when they did Prime, and I think they did a couple of others as well. They reissued them in the old style G1 boxes. Would have been nice if they had the foresight to do that. I don't know why they didn't. There must have been a decision made on high that made that not viable, at least at the time. So yeah, I had Starscream as a kid. I loved Starscream as a kid. My Starscream ended up with like loads of paint chipping around his tits, and most of his accessories missing or broken or whatever like that. A canopy missing, that sort of stuff. So it was nice to be able to get a Starscream again and apply his stickers and that, and you can see all his stuff is in there. Just a reprint of the box art on the other side there. This you know what, I quite like the box for this. I do. It's mostly handy for storage for when I have to fucking move every time, and I've got to pack my figures away. So I pack the G1s away in as many of the original boxes or boxes that they came with. So you can see a little bit of damage just on the top there. Nothing really to write home about. But he looks cool. He looks cool in his little plastic prison. So I think what I should do is probably just break him out of the plastic prison and talk about the figure itself. Okay, so here is Starscream in his most basic form. Basically, I'm going to do this the same way I did with Ramjet's review. So I can just show off the basic body of the toy, and then I'll show the accessories it came with. It's, yeah, this was the standard design, and they managed to get, oh, that's actually quite fucking dirty. Let's have a look at that. I thought I'd clean this up. Do you know what? Who cares? I've had this a long time. I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, as I said, I've had this a long time. Oh, this is going well. So all these Decepticon Seeker jets all basically shared the same body. They got a lot of use out of this, ladies and gentlemen. They got six characters out of this one design, not including Sandstorm, as that was an e-hobby reissue, who I will review at some point. As this is the reissue, however, there were slight changes to the accessories that came with him. So we're going to show those off now. So let's get the basic bare bones body out of the way. So the reissue came with one modernized instruction booklet showing actually the old style missiles from the original G1 toy. So that's false advertising horseshit for a start. Okay, so you got that. It came with left and right, let's fucking get that to focus. Left and right wings, which plug onto the body. He came with two rear tail fins, left and right, that plug into the back of the plane, and two additional fins that plug into those as well. So yeah, as much as I love the Seeker jets, you know, you can't deny the fact that they were parts for me as fuck, quite frankly. But you know, what can we do? What can we do? We persevere, ladies and gentlemen. He came with left and right fists that plug onto the body. Again, let's tap that in focus. They slide onto the body. That's one of the massive downsides to a lot of the G1 toys, is they had plug-in fists and that, which, as much as I love the original toys, as much as I love Optimus Prime and Trailbreaker and Sunstreaker and fucking whatever other fucking toy I've got, this here was, for me, one of the banes of my childhood. It remains a bane of my existence now, not because I'm likely to lose the parts now, because I'm not an idiot like I was when I was little, but it is a ball ache. It's a ball ache because you think, oh, what if I do lose the parts? And then, you know, then you start second guessing yourself and shit like that. He comes with two of these. Again, focus your fucker. It comes with two missile launchers, which also plug into his arms, act as his primary weapons in robot mode, which is a nice little touch. Again, obviously removable parts. One, focus you fuck. Am I going to have to do that every time I show off a part? Really? I expected more from my phone. One, landing gear. Now, this is the part that if you're going to lose any part on a Seeker, it's going to be this one first, okay? I like the fact that they went all in to give parts like this to the reissues, and then went ahead and fucked around and sort of gave them different weapons, because children weren't as smart as they were back in the 1980s. Oh no, they might kill themselves. Well, you know, maybe that's natural selection at work, right? But they still give you this. Now, if you lost this, right, then believe me, you probably did. When I bought a whole bunch of these on eBay, when I was like sort of fixing back up my my thrust and like sort of a couple of other Seekers, these were going for $7.99 each. Right, $7.99 for what amounts to about an inch of fucking plastic with a couple of metal wheels on it. And we're going back easily a decade now. When I was prolific on eBay, not so much anymore. But yeah, $7.99 for that shit, right? Now, this is where they get a little bit stupid. They've redesigned the primary weapons for robot mode. Okay, I don't know why that won't focus. Let's try that. So they plug in to the cannon missile launchers that I showed you earlier, and they extend all the way down past his knees. They're not as fancy looking as the original weapons that would have come with him, and he also came with two of these missiles. Now, the reason I'm only showing one of these is because I say I'm not a dickhead. I'm a bit of a dickhead, right? Because when I got this, I thought that you had to cut a little bit of it back in order to make it fit like the old missiles from the G1, the original G1. It turns out, no, this is how they modelled them. This is so you don't get the short missiles now that come up to about there, even though the E-Hobby Sunstorm does, go figure. Because the Japanese recognise their children aren't oxygen thieves, right? So for the Western release of the reissue, they've extended the missiles. So when you plug these into under the plane, these look shit. There is no other way of saying it. These look absolutely fucking shit. And the reason I'm only showing one, I'll show you the other one, is because I tried cutting it off and then realised fundamentally what I'd done was a big no-no. And I was like, well, it's 100% complete, but I have technically fucked it. Yeah. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm going to do, when I plug all this shit together, I'm going to put one of them in there, and you can see just how wank it looks. All right. So why don't we bring Starscream back onto camera? Hello, fucking Starscream. Right. So let's start by putting all his shit on. Okay. So let's start with the left and right tail fins. One goes in there. One goes in there. As you can see, he's starting to, well, he's starting to take shape already, isn't he? Eh? Look at that. Look at that. G1 in all its questionable glory, ladies and gentlemen. I will die on the hill of G1, right? I am a G1 whore. I will always be a G1 whore, but I will be the first one to admit that the toys actually, for their time, were good. I say for the time. The toys were all right up to a point. Most of our media wasn't really encouraging, right? And looking at on the face of it, there really isn't that much to get excited about. But every time I get myself a G1 toy, I go, look, it's a G1 toy. And I go into full fan wank mode, right? Yeah, this isn't a great. I love the Seekers. I make no bones about it. I love the Seekers. Let's put his fucking wings in, right, like that. Let's start putting these things on, like so. These clipping underneath here, right? I love the Seekers. I love the Seeker toy. I love the Seeker design. Blah blah blah. But I will not defend it. You know, the fact that I love it should be defense enough, but it's not. I cannot defend this toy as much as I love it, and I know MarkusPrime loves Starscream, which is why I'm doing this review. As I said in the blurb earlier, I'm doing this review for MarkusPrime because he is a Starscream whore. If you didn't already know that, and yeah, so there we are. So that is Starscream in his basic jet mode. Okay, let's put one of these in here. Now, bearing in mind the nub of the missile is supposed to extend just past here, right? I'm going to put one of these in, and that is what they expected you to put up with. That is bollocks. That is 50 shades of wank, right? That is just, no, because when I put these missiles in the first time, right, it completely took me out of the immersion of the toy. I was like, I don't remember it like that. They've done something weird here. Maybe I'm supposed to cut the missiles down. And maybe you're fucking not supposed to cut the missiles down. Maybe this is exactly how they wanted it to be, and I don't like it. I won't like it. I'll never like it. Vodka. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get rid of the wank. Right. Let's talk about Starscream's toys. He's an F-15 fighter jet. Now, F-15 Eagle fighter jet. I don't know. They think Top Gun. Think well, I don't know. Think F-15s, and that's probably what this is supposed to be. It looks great. There are gaps everywhere in it, so it's not as flush as the real jet it's based on. There's gaps everywhere. It's a little bit awkward looking, but you can't deny, ladies and gentlemen, that it is also all types of sex, isn't it? There's something very, very, very satisfying about this mold, despite the fact that if it comes in about 27 different parts, and if you lose one of them, you fuck the whole thing, right? Despite that, there is something incredibly appealing about this toy. Is it the basics of the transformation? I don't know. But there isn't much transformation when you think that you've actually got to take half of it off in order to make a transformation. But there is maybe it's the color scheme, the iconic Starscream color scheme. Maybe it's the fact that little metal wheel rolls at the front and he's got his landing gears on his feet. I don't know what it is. There is a multitude of different things that appeal to me on this, and not one of them really holds up under close scrutiny, because you can't deny, as cool as it looks, it's bollocks, right? Which is sadly what I seem to say about most of my. Right, let's clarify this, right? I absolutely love my G1 collection. I wouldn't have fucking bothered getting it if I didn't love my G1 collection. But at the same time, I look at it with different eyes as I get older. I've been collecting now since 2008, and every year I sort of look at my collection with slightly more wizened and jaded eyes, and I go, Jesus Christ, I've actually spent money on this stuff. I mean, there's no real excuse for it, really. I love my hobby. You could argue that's the excuse for it, but you know. Anyway, I'm rambling. So yeah, this is Starscream in his jet mode. It's a great jet mode. You can take the landing gear off, store it in the cockpit, and he can do all the flyy stuff and sort of things like that, as long as you're holding it. It's gappy. It's fucking slightly awkward looking, but it's still amazing. And I don't know. Do I need to justify it past that? I'm really not sure. I'm questioning myself now. We could take it to robot mode, so this review could end in a timely manner, and you could all go away and do something far more constructive than watching me fucking spout bullshit. So let's take it to robot mode, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start off by taking off the landing gear. Actually, do you know what? No, I'm gonna take everything off. I'm gonna take everything off, and I'm gonna do something that I sometimes used to do. Once I got all my Seekers collected, including Sunstorm, I decided to fuck around with Cybertronian modes, and I came up with basically you turn plane upside down, you flip up the nose cone, stick it in there, and then you put everything back on in reverse, right? Like this. Everything goes in the exact reverse, and I made what was basically a rudimentary Cybertronian mode Tetrajet. Yes, I'm aware of how shit it looks. Everyone's aware of how shit it looks. You can look at it and see, wow, that's taking the imagination a bit far. When I thought about this, I will admit to being very, very bored, and a little bit pleased with myself that I came up with this. Even though I look at it now and think, actually, do you know what? There was nothing really to be that pleased about. But I kind of like it. It looks Cybertronian enough for me to say, yeah, that was cool. Anyway, that's the tertiary jet mode. Take off all this shit, stick it all back on in the appropriate places. So let's put that one back on here. Let's stick that one back on there. Now you can transform this without, well, actually you should take off the missile launchers as well, because you're going to need those. You can transform this without taking off any of those other parts. It's just a bit fucking fiddly and awkward. Right, so Starscream's jet mode, right? So let's start with taking the... This is the same transformation for any fucking Seeker jet. So I'm not doing anything you haven't seen a million times before. If you want to skip this part, feel free. Okay, so take the cockpit and the nose cone away from the rest of the plane. My cat's going mental. Let's bring this up a little bit. There we are. Put your finger through and separate that section just there. Okay, so that folds out like that. Break the nose cone away from the cockpit. Fold it up. Hold on, the cat's in my bag. Will you get out my bag? Thank you very much. My rucksack is not a place for you to play. Just thought I'd make you aware if he wasn't. And move the wings forward. See, that was smooth as fuck, wasn't it? Bring these sections around and then poke the nose cone through the gap you've just created and bring that into place like that. Okay, bring these sections forward like this, and then these two sections will come down for his feet, and that's almost him. And then bring the wings forward like this, bring these sections round, up comes the nose cone to form the head, bring the nose cone back, and that always happens. That doesn't matter if it's a reissue, if it's brand new, for some reason that hinge there, that whole thing rests on, does not support its own weight. So to get around that, open up the cockpit, stick the landing gear in the cockpit, and that acts as a counterweight. How fucking ridiculous is that? Then take his removable left and right fists, clip those on the end of the arms, like that. Bring the wings back down and slightly off to the sides, arms down. Let's add weapon attachments, like that, and like that. And then stick these into the arms on either side. And ladies and gentlemen, that right there is G1 Starscream. Now, it's not a particularly involved transformation. It serves a purpose, it serves a function, it gets you where you need to go from A to B. That's not working the way it used to anymore. That's fucking annoying. That used to act as a nice little counterweight, but for some reason that joint there where that spins is now not cutting it. That's annoying. There he is. G1 Starscream, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said, not an involved transformation. A bit of a pain in the arse if you've got to attach bits and then take them off and then fuck around, blah blah blah. But the end result, that is just, I mean, just look at it. I haven't got any paint chipping on his tits like I did with the original. The stickers that I applied when I first got it are in amazing condition, and you even had to like put stickers on his face for his eyes as well, which I think is fucking great because they never looked right, they never quite fit. But despite that, I think it's brilliant. Articulation wise, the arms would go around full 360 if the wings weren't in the way. No movement in the legs, no movement in the head, and that chest section only moves because of transformation. Apart from that, ladies and gentlemen, That is it. That is Starscream. His arms will go out like this, but that's only because of transformation as well. There's not much to say. There's nothing really that you know goes, oh, this is like one of the greatest toys ever. I know it's not one of the greatest toys ever. It is severely limited by its parts forming and its prattling about, and it's like fuck knows what else. And despite that, despite all the things that stand against it, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is absolutely beautiful. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The idea of turning a plane into a robot, yeah, great, okay. Without having to take all the parts off, would be lovely. The original Masterpiece version, I've got the MP11 mold, and I quite liked that up to a point, and then started realizing that it had a lot of faults with it. In fact, I will review. I tried reviewing the MP's Hasbro Skywarp years ago, and I didn't even bother showing the transformation on screen because it pissed me off. And actually, the Seeker Jet in Masterpiece still pisses me off. If I had to choose between the Masterpiece version and this, I will go for this one every time, because there is something a little bit more genuine about this. I don't know if that's the right word to explain it, but there is something a little bit more familiar, maybe. Yeah, that could be a good way of putting it. Maybe because I'm such a fucking idiot, I really enjoy the simple things in life, and it doesn't get much more simple than G1. I don't know, but I know the Seekers aren't everybody's cup of tea. I know the G1 Seekers aren't everyone's cup of tea. But I think it's fucking great. And there's no reason for me to be so enthusiastic about this toy, because I know its limitations. I know it's, awkward as all bollocks. But fuck me if that isn't awesome, if that isn't just a little bit fucking great. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this review. This is Gerald Gavenbay, also known as Wolfgang1, getting slightly more pissed off with this fucking hinge. Stay where you are. Right, you and me, right, are having words later. Fact of the matter. I will be back next week with more reviews. I've got some labels on the way for G1 Sandstorm. I've also requested some labels for the G1 Stunticon, so I will be doing the Stunticons and leading up to Menethor in the next few weeks as well. I haven't forgotten about the request for G1 Scorponok, Johnny. I will get that done. It's just it's a massive undertaking, especially the way I do reviews now. So it is coming. Try to remain excited and look out for that one. And I'm also going to get some other reviews done. I'm thinking I might review some of the Micromaster bases at some point, as well as more Pretenders. I'm going to be doing Generation 1 Bugley for Exaggerated Allergy, George, because he gifted me that a long time ago. So yeah, plenty of more stuff on the way. There's more 7 days, there's more of this. Go check out the channel, rate, comment, subscribe, do all the things that I never tell you to do because it never occurs to me. And yeah, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Would I recommend G1 Starscream? Yeah, I would. For what reason? Fuck knows. You either like it or you don't. And yeah, look at this fucking load of shit. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for watching this, and I will see you soon. Take care. And when tomorrow comes, I feel you laying by me, like you ain't got nowhere else to go.